Idaho Matters podcast is brought to you by St. Luke's On Demand Virtual Care, which allows patients to see a provider from their home using a computer or smartphone with on demand care for common ailments such as a cough, sore throat, or a sinus issue. More information at stluke'sonline.org.
In collaboration with Boise State Public Radio, the Community Library presents a new podcast, Sheep Stories. I'm host Vance Cunningham. Join me as we listen through the archives of the Trailing of the Sheep Festival to learn about the Scottish, Basque, and Peruvian immigrants foundational to the sheep herding industry over the past century. Hear their stories of traveling to Idaho and learning the language of the sheep. Find Sheep Stories wherever you get your podcasts and at boisestatepublicradio.org.
From the studios of Boise State Public Radio News, I'm Gemma Gaudette. You're listening to Idaho Matters. Public lands are at the heart of the Gem State. From iconic hiking trails to secret camping spots, they are the hidden treasures that we explore and that we cherish. However, public lands have come under threat recently, from funding cuts to attempts to transfer or sell off the land. And this has motivated a lot of people to take a look at how much they love these wild spaces, as well to work to protect them. So that's why one world-renowned photographer from Mountain Home is stepping behind the camera to direct a new documentary. It's called We the Public. The film captures individual stories from people connected to the public lands all across America. So joining us now to talk to us more about this project is the film's director, Andy Anderson. Andy, nice to have you on the program.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
So let's start with this. What inspired you to really share this message in a documentary format?
Well, my background is outdoor photography, but I also spent, in my early years growing up in Florida in the 60s, I was always outdoors, always enjoying the outdoors. But, there wasn't just a lot of it down there to enjoy because of, 13 original colonies, East Coast, things like that. And I moved out west being a firefighter in the Air Force. And, I've been in Mountain Home in the area for 35 years, and I just fell in love with the public lands. And then, over the few years that I've been seeing, what's been going on the national level of trying to take our public lands away from us or, limiting access, I just felt like I couldn't sit back anymore and just not do anything about it. So, I started thinking about a film. How am I gonna make a film that's apolitical, that I can join, all the public land users together? Because there's never really been a film, an anthem for public lands, that talks to the public land owners, like for instance, cattle ranching, the typical ones, hunters and anglers and recreationists and people that go on family vacations from the East Coast. I mean, there's never really been a unifying film. And that's why I came up with this idea of doing this film, We the Public. And essentially what this film is an anthem for public lands. Because when you really think about it, public lands is truly an American story. Unlike any other place in the world, do people enjoy the amount of public lands that we have in our existence in the United States? 640 million acres of public federal land, and another 200 million are in state land, Forest Service land or state land. And, I just felt like that's our connective tissue. I mean, it's what's our shared humanity as public lands. I mean, if you talk to anybody, the first thing they'll tell you is they want to protect it and they want to keep it. And, so that's why I felt like I needed to do this film, because it is our connective tissue.
So Andy, why in your opinion is it so important and urgent that you produce this film right now?
Well, I mean, if anybody's been paying attention to what's been going on, out west, and especially with the current, state of affairs in the administration trying to take over our public lands, I mean, I just felt like it was time to do something, but not to do a film that was going to be, flame throwing and people are not going to listen to a film that's flame throwing and just all the political issues. If I can just talk about what public lands, what it means to them and how they feel about it in a beautiful way, I think the politics will take care of itself. I'm not worried about the politics, But I just felt like now was the time to do a film because, it's such an in the, the ethosphere, so to speak, and what's going on in the United States, especially over the last month and a half, 2 months.
You highlight, just as you said, that this shouldn't be about politics or policy, but really about
Absolutely.
people. So, why is it important to you that you really center this documentary around stories rather than all of this political rhetoric?
Well, first of all, nobody's going to listen to you if it's political. They just won't. I mean, people are fed up with it, and be honest with you, I'm fed up with it as well. But I wanted to, people love stories. They love honest, authentic stories, and there's never been a film, and I keep saying this, that's ever allowed these people to say how they really feel and care about public lands in a beautiful, romantic way. I mean, and if I can tell that story much like the other things that I've worked on in my life, then I think it'll be a success. And I think people will gravitate to that more than they will gravitate to something that's political because people are just fed up with it.
Visually, the film takes a really simple approach. It's just one
Mhm.
person taking a seat on a simple stool. Why did you choose to set it up this way?
Because I wanted it to be about the people and the landscape. That's really what this whole thing was about. The chair is an anchor point for telling that story. And that location and that chair will be in different places throughout the country as we move through our storyline. So I just wanted it to be simple, and quite frankly, I'm a pretty simple photographer when it comes to that kind of stuff. So I just wanted it to be simple and authentic and beautiful, which I
Mhm.
think we accomplished in the teaser.
And the interviews really are from a wide range of voices from everyday Americans. Can you
Hmm.
talk to us a little bit about the diversity of the people you're interviewing? And really, I think that goes to the heart of this, right? That
Yes,
it doesn't matter what your political leanings are. It doesn't matter almost what your belief system are. This, we're talking about something that unifies all of us.
absolutely. Um, you, I just wanted something to be um, unifying, and I felt like that this film was able to do that, and able to tell these stories in chapters throughout the country in a way that, and I don't want to talk to the typical people that you see in these from NGOs and other organizations of how they I wanted to talk to people that were really kind of on the fringes but also participate in all these types of you know activities in public lands. For instance, a cattle rancher in Nevada, 18,000 cattle allotments that are issued every year in the United States. So they're going to be affected by public lands. And 90% of those are family owned. So that means a lot, right? Again, it gets back to the American story.
The film explores six themes, and you call these unifying themes. Is there one that resonated with you the most?
Yeah. Well, I think, the need for balance is an important thing. And I guess there's a couple of them. Um, the cultural and historical significance is important too, to why we need to keep our public lands. I mean, I keep going back to, the money part of what public lands is. It's $1.2 trillion in revenue that goes into the treasury every year in the United States. $1.2 trillion in revenue. And, that's a lot of money that goes into the treasury from public lands. And I think people get lost in that whole conversation. But I think those two, need for balance and cultural and historical significance, are important, amongst others. But you asked me, so.
Yeah. So I'm also curious, is there a particular story from anyone that you interviewed that stood out to you?
Yeah, there was, the Boundary Waters in upstate Minnesota. That was taken off the mining store, basically hit list under the Bidden
Uh,
administration or the previous administration because they were going to table it for 20 years. Well, the new administration comes in, and there's now, the Boundary Waters is now back on the list for being copper mined by a foreign, Chilean copper mine company, and that's a big deal. And 80% of look, it's 20% of all the water for the national forest in the United States comes from the Boundary Waters. I don't think people realize that. And that copper mine is going to be put right on the same lake that the Boundary Waters flow out of in Minnesota. So that's an important story. I didn't know about this, and that's why it was important for us to go there and talk to these people that have been in that community for decades, grew up there, and they're concerned about it.
Well, what are you hoping that folks walk away from, Andy, once they see this documentary?
I think one of the thing is, like, we need to protect this, and we need to keep it ours, in the hands of ours, public. And I'm going to be speaking a lot to the people on the East Coast, because a lot of them don't really understand that we have public lands in the vastness that we have out west, unlike they do on the East Coast. And if I can unify everybody and make people feel good about why we have these public lands, then I think it'll be a success story. Again, this is an anthem for public lands.
And my understanding is that you're currently raising $500,000 to finish production of the film. What will that funding allow you to do?
Well, we've got a budget, practical filming. We've got about 35 to 40 days of filming. We've already filmed already. We're using our own money to do that. So what we've accomplished already, we've done with our own funds. And we're currently in the, fundraising mode right now to raise money. And then once we film it, the 40 days of filming, we'll edit it and then, get it distributed. And we've had, we've got quite a team involved in this. Dayton Duncan that helped us with the, that is, if you know who he did, but what he did, but he was the scriptwriter for Ken Burns. And I reached out to him because I wanted to have a message that wasn't going to be scary. And he helped us with our messaging, Dayton Duncan did, which was super helpful.
So to wrap up, Andy, if any of our listeners are interested in contributing or learning more about this, where can they go? How can they do this?
They can go wethepublicfilm.com, wethepublicfilm.com, and it'll take you to a website, and it'll show you how you can donate and help us get the word out.
Well, Andy, I want to thank you so very much for taking time to talk with us. I know you've been busy on this, so just really appreciate your time. We've been speaking with director of We the Public, Andy Anderson. This is his new documentary, and the mission of the documentary is to safeguard our public lands all across the United States. And if you want to learn more, just visit our website, boisestatepublicradio.org. You can do that after the show today. You can contribute financially or, of course, learn more about the documentary as well. And that'll do it for this episode of Idaho Matters. Thanks so much for listening. And just a reminder, you can find all of our episodes wherever you get your podcasts.